All right, fellas. So, against all odds, the New York Knicks won last night to make it a 2-1 series lead. They complete their third 20-point comeback on the road in these playoffs, and let's just say 20-point comebacks age the soul. So, let's just get started. Okay, first half, really nothing is going well, okay? Guys are missing shots. The defense is not well, okay? And you could just see the distinct difference between the two teams on offense, okay? The Knicks, it was taking like 17 seconds to get into the set, and then you weren't really getting a great look. Then you shift to the Pacers, and it's just, they get it up in like 5 seconds, free-flowing, there's multiple passes, just everything in rhythm, and it was disheartening, okay? Because even when it was like a 9-point game, it felt like a 9-point lead from like the 2000s where, they didn't shoot as many threes, and a 9-point lead is like, that's a real solid lead right there. You're really going to have to blow that one. And so once the Pacers built it up to 20, it felt like it was over. Okay. I was just so down. I really couldn't believe that I seriously bought in. I felt like a sucker for like genuinely thinking, hey, maybe we can actually win the series going in. But then the second half happened, and my oh my. Talk about defense, am I right? Just a level of defense that I have not seen from this Knicks team this entire series. They busted out when they need it most. They make the comeback. Fourth quarter, Karl-Anthony Towns. You had 4 points going in, and then you score 20 in the fourth. What a guy, huh? And look, okay, in terms of, let's just break it down guy by guy, player by player. Jalen Brunson, this was probably the worst game he's played. I'm not going to say these playoffs because that game 2 versus Detroit was pretty rough, but by far and away the worst game he played this series. Just kind of like I don't think it was an awful game, but it wasn't good. Maybe it was bad. It was definitely not. If you want to call it mid, you could do that. If you want to call it bad, I'm not going to get mad at you. Just off night from him, all right? The wings, Josh Hart, all right? Josh Hart was getting flamed on Twitter, all right? Everyone was making fun of him. People were saying he was more focused on his MLB The Show character than playing basketball before the game. And, in the first half, he was just getting absolutely fried, okay? Everyone was making fun of him. He was stinking it up. Then the fourth quarter happens, and oh my goodness, just the quintessential Josh Hart experience. Defense, rebounding, just all the little things. That right there is why I love Josh Hart, okay? And at moments, I will say, yes, you suck. However, that's the relationship we have, okay? The other wings, OG, Mikal. OG gave us some pretty good production on offense. It didn't really feel like he was doing that much, to be honest. Like, granted, I was watching the game like mad and like in like the pessimism gimmick. Okay, even when they're making the comeback, I'm like, oh yeah, no, fake comeback here. They're not doing it. But yeah, great performance out of OG on offense. Mikal, we really would appreciate if you could get it going in the first half. Okay, please do that. Defense, oh my goodness, swarming. That right there is a 5 first-round pick, Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett worth performance on the defensive end right there, okay? That one play where OG he was getting offensively fouled by Aaron Nesmith about 6 times, which, surprise, surprise, he's fouling. And he's staying strong. He's not letting them get to the cup. He has to put up some awful fadeaway, and OG just packs it, just swats it, starts talking trash after it, and that was the first moment I started to smile during this game, okay? Because any type of Aaron Nesmith negative play will draw a smile out of me, okay? Hate always rises above actually like liking basketball on this channel, okay? Not hate against groups, hate against basketball players for basketball reasons. That is the hate we love here, okay? Karl-Anthony Towns, 20 points in the fourth quarter after having 4 the entire game, along with some stupid fouls. Just an absolute masterclass, okay? People were also flaming him on Twitter saying, get this guy out of here. They were proposing their fake trade packages for Giannis on the timeline, and that's a discussion for another day. Today, however, we will love and support Karl-Anthony Towns. Just what a performance. Okay, at a certain point, he just realized, like, hey, either I get it going here or the season's over. And, well, the season's not over. So, big thank you to Cat. Just a masterclass of a performance. Mitchell Robinson, I'm going to say this just one time, okay? I understand we need to have Mitch out there as long as possible. However, we need to, like, break up his stints here, okay? Like, he can't play, like, 10 straight minutes, okay? Let's buy him some rest, all right? Let's just... Because when Mitch is at top, like, peak stamina, his performance is incredible every time out there, okay? So just, let's buy him some more rest, all right? DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet. These guys have been super glued to the bench the entire postseason. And they came in, they fought, they gave it their all, they turned the game. I remember that one play. Landry Shamet rug pulls Obi Toppin, draws an offensive foul. Obi Toppin, of all people, tries to trash talk Landry Shamet, and it's just, dude, we know who you are, okay? You are a role player, all right? Know your role, all right? Landry Shamet also made a 3, so good job. Once again, from those two, great energy, loved it. In terms of defense, okay, they held the Pacers to 25 three-pointers, all right? We need to keep that low, because when the Pacers are getting up like 43s, it's just not, the math isn't going to work, because they've been shooting so well the entire postseason. They finally shot poorly, by the way, but you cannot count on that to continue. You need to limit their three-pointers, okay? Sometimes, it's beneficial. Just give them an open 2, no 3s, all right? Don't help off the guy in the corner. Just, hey, look, we got Brown in possession, all right? Give up the 2. In terms of the referees, oh boy. I don't love to talk about the refs. However, Scott Foster, the extender. Extend my frustration, maybe, because my goodness, this guy was awful. Okay? Cat gets called for an offensive foul, and yes, he did offensively foul, and there was no need to hook Tyrese Halliburton in the post. However, he's grabbing his elbow. Look, how did we lose the challenge? Jalen Brunson gets bowled over by Andrew Nembhard. Surely we're going to win this one, right? No! Is he just supposed to give up a wide open layup? Like, what do you want him to do? What are we doing? We call Cat for a travel because the Pacers want it? Like, what? This guy is so bad. What are you doing? Like, I don't understand how you've been refereeing for this many years and you could be getting such easy calls wrong. It just doesn't make any sense. This is without to say, of course, Aaron Nesmith was still dry humping Jalen Brunson up the floor, and Cat was still getting just mauled every single time he went up. Those have never been called, so I've just accepted that. This extra stuff, though, this is just unacceptable, okay? For the love of God, can we please get some competent referees, Adam Silver? That's all I'm asking for. Just call it the same, all right? If you're not going to call Cat getting, manslaughtered down low in the paint, just let us do it on the other end, okay? Because the fact that this has happened for, what game are we at? 14 playoff games, and we cannot do it to the other team is just, it's absurd, okay? The fact that we're at this point, we have a chance in the Eastern Conference Finals, despite the fact that the refereeing has been this poor the entire postseason, shout out to the guys, all right? They're doing their job. Now, in terms of going forward, Game 4, I believe this game is really going to determine the season, okay? Every single series the Knicks have played with Tom Thibodeau as the head coach, whoever wins Game 4 wins the series. I think this will remain true. So, the Knicks must win this game. Just like Game 3 was a must-win, Game 4 is a must-win. How can we win this game? Well, I have some strategies, okay? First things first, Jalen Brunson and Cat lineups get blitzed defensively. We're going to have to stagger them more, all right? Let Brunson play with Mitch. Let Cat play with Deuce, all right? Obviously, down the stretch and at certain points, you're going to have to play Brunson and Cat. It's just going to have to happen, okay? I understand that. However, let's try and stagger them more during the game to try and not have, two guys they can attack and put in every single action, okay? And look, let's just win a game, all right? Because this would be a really great series if we can somehow manage to put game 1 and 2 behind us and, take back home court, be in a game 5 where it's 2-2. All right. And I would love that. Okay. Just biasedly speaking. Usually this is where I would leave it off. However, I do have some fun stats to recite. So, most fourth quarter points in a conference finals game by a player. First is Jamal Murray, who, cool, I guess. Second is Luka. However, third, Karl-Anthony Towns, 20 points. What a guy. What a guy. Teams when trailing 20 points on the road in the playoffs. The New York Knicks of 2025 are 3-1. Every single other team in the play-by-play era is 12 for 609. So, the cardiac warriors, I guess. Let's not go down 20 again, though. It's not great for the heart, once again. First team since 1997 to have 3 20-point comebacks in the playoffs. The New York Knicks. Once again, fellas, let's please not go down 20, and let's win Game 4. Also, shout out to Tibbs. He changed the starting lineup, then actually played DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet after super gluing them to the bench and watching Campaign do whatever that was. So, yeah, good job, Tibbs.